The noon sun sat high over the city, and the sidewalks felt busy but friendly. People moved with their own small goals, buying bread, catching a bus, meeting a friend. A street violinist played a warm tune near a coffee cart, and the sound made the day feel brighter. Amara walked with a light tote bag on her shoulder, a receipt peeking out of the top. Inside was a small notebook with a sea blue cover, a gift for her niece who loved to draw. She had also picked up some fruit from a vendor and a bottle of water. Her steps were steady and calm. She enjoyed walking because it gave her a little time to breathe and think. She stopped at a crosswalk and waited for the light. A boy with a red balloon stood beside her, squeezing his mother's hand. Across the street, a bus door hissed open, and a few passengers stepped down, blinking into the sun. Amara checked the time on her phone and smiled. If she walked at her normal pace, she would be home in 15 minutes. She planned to call her niece and show her the new notebook over a video call. The light turned green, and the crowd moved forward. Halfway across, Amara felt a flicker in the air behind her, the kind of change that makes a person turn their head. She heard sharp footsteps. A voice followed, flat, official, and too loud for such a busy street. "Ma'am, you, stop!" Amara stopped on the other side of the crosswalk and turned. A police officer in a dark uniform approached with a fixed look on his face. His name tag read Blake. His jaw was tight. He looked at her, not like a person, but like a question he had already answered. People around them slowed down, curious in that quiet way people are when they sense something is off. "ID," Officer Blake said. "No greeting, no explanation." His tone made several heads turn. The violinist's bow paused in midair. Amara stood, upright. "Is there a reason, officer?" she asked. Her voice was calm and clear. She kept her hands where he could see them, holding the tote by the strap, phone in her other hand. She had learned long ago that calm made a difference. "People, listen better when you are calm. Show me your ID," he repeated. His eyes moved over her clothes, simple jeans, a soft gray t-shirt, and clean sneakers, as if none of that mattered. The red balloon bobbed once in the corner of her vision. A bus rumbled away from the curb. Several people slowed to watch. A college student with a camera hung back near a lamppost. A delivery driver paused his scooter and pulled off his helmet, frowning. The mother with the balloon tugged her child a few steps back, but kept looking. A barista from the coffee cart took a step forward and then stopped, uncertain. "Officer," Amara said softly, "I'm happy to help if you tell me what this is about." She did not raise her voice. She did not move quickly. She set her phone, screen down so it would not look like she was filming. Her heart beat steady and slow. She breathed in, breathed out. "There were reports," Officer Blake said. "You match a description." The words sounded practiced. He glanced at her bag as if it were a problem. "What's in there?" "Groceries," she said. "A notebook for my niece." She lifted the bag a little. The sea blue cover showed again between avocado green and the white bottle cap. "Would you like to see the receipt?" He did not answer. His eyes narrowed. "Hands where I can see them." His voice grew sharper. "Move to the car." A parked sedan sat beside the curb. The day's easy music felt like it had been turned off. The city sounds kept going, honks, footsteps, a far-off laugh, but the space around them tightened. Amara walked to the sedan slowly, keeping her hands visible. "What is the charge?" she asked. She kept her tone polite. She did not argue. She did not plead. She asked a clear question that any person should be allowed to ask. "Don't argue," he said. His hand moved toward her tote strap. "Put the bag down." She lowered the bag onto the trunk of the sedan. The fruit rolled gently against the notebook and came to rest with a soft thump. The receipt slid closer to the edge. She kept her eyes on the officer's hands. She kept her breath even, like counting steady numbers in her head. A high school, Girl with curly hair, standing a few steps away, lifted her phone and started recording. The lens caught the officer's shape and Amara's calm face in the same frame. The girl swallowed and whispered to her friend, "I'm filming." "Just in case." The friend nodded. A few more phones tilted up. The violinist rested his chin on his instrument and tried to read the scene. "Spread your feet," Officer Blake ordered. "Hands on the car." Amara placed her palms on the cool metal. She felt the car's warmth from the sun, felt the curve of the trunk under her hands. She did not flinch. She did not speak. Her head stayed level. A small wind moved along the street and made the balloon bounce again in a slow rhythm. The officer stepped closer. He moved with quick, certain motions, like someone who believed he would not be questioned. He touched her arm and guided it a few inches higher than needed. The pressure was firm. It made nearby faces tighten. The delivery driver looked to the barista, and the barista looked back. No one wanted to make things worse, but no one liked how it felt. "Officer," Amara said, still calm, "please be gentle. I'm cooperating." "Quiet," he said. "Do you have anything on you that I should know about?" He said the words, like a line he had said 100 times. He glanced at the camera phones now, and his mouth pulled into a thin line. "Stop filming," he told the crowd. No one stopped. A city bus slowed, and a few faces leaned toward the windows, browsing the moment as if the street had become a screen. A man in a suit stood under the awning of the coffee shop, trying to decide if he should speak. A grandmother with silver hair, a paper bag of bread in her hands, shook her head slowly in visible disappointment. "I'm going to pat you down," Officer Blake said. Amara turned her face slightly to the side to make her voice carry to him and to the invisible line of witnesses. "I do not consent to a search," she said clearly. "I am not resisting. I am asking for a reason." Her words were simple, like stones set in a row. They did not accuse. They did not insult. They simply asked for daylight. The officer hesitated. It was short, almost nothing. But everyone watching saw it. The camera lens saw it. The violinist saw it. Even the red balloon seemed to pause in its gentle dance. "Ma'am," the officer said, more impatient now, "you match a description. That's the reason." "What description?" she asked. "Please be specific." His eyes flicked to the phones again. "A woman, dark shirt, jeans, carrying a bag." He said it like a net thrown wide enough to catch half the street. The crowd murmured. 3 other people within 10 feet wore dark shirts and carried bags. The barista looked down at her own black apron and canvas tote. Someone whispered, "That could be anyone." Amara lowered her eyes to the car for a moment, as if studying the dust where her fingertips rested. Then she lifted her head. "Officer," she said, "I will show you my receipt. I will show you what is in my bag. But I want to know if I am being detained and why." He straightened as if challenged. "Yes, you are," he said. "For what?" she asked. He did not answer at once. His jaw worked. He reached toward the tote and pulled the receipt free. It fluttered. He read the simple list: notebook, apples, water. His hand hovered over the sea blue cover, the glasses of the grandmother. Under the coffee awning caught a flash of sunlight, and she squinted, trying to see the officer's face. "Turn around," he said, and the edge returned to his voice. Amara turned, moving slowly, making sure every motion was easy to read. She stood with care so her feet were steady and her balance was sure. She thought of her niece's quick laughter, of the sea blue notebook, of small drawings of birds and trees. She thought of patience, a quiet skill that many people do not notice because it makes no noise. She thought of how many times in life a person must carry themselves with dignity because the world does not hand it to them. "Hands behind your back," the officer said. The girl with the camera felt a pinch in her chest. "This isn't right," she whispered. The delivery driver swallowed. "Somebody call someone," he muttered to himself. but he did not know who to call. Amara brought her hands together slowly, fingers laced, wrists touching. She kept her shoulders relaxed. Her voice did not shake. "Please be careful with my arms," she said. "I have a previous shoulder strain." It was the truth, and it was also a gentle instruction. He took her wrists. The touch was harder than needed. A small sound went through the crowd, the kind of sound people make when they watch a glass tip too close to the table edge. The officer's face had that tight look again, like a door that has been shut too fast. "I am not resisting," Amara said clearly. He didn't answer. The city kept moving. The violinist, who had not played since the first command for ID, lifted his bow, but did not draw it across the strings. The mother with the balloon looked at her son and then back to Amara, and the boy's eyes were big and unsure. "Officer?" the barista finally said, voice small but steady. She asked for a reason. He shot a warning look at the barista. "Back up," he said. "All of you." No one moved forward, but no one moved back either. They stayed where they were, a ring of eyes and quiet breaths. A taxi rolled by and honked once, not at traffic, but at the feeling of the scene. The sound faded. Amara felt the day become slow, like the air had thickened. She could count the seconds between the officer's words. She could feel the texture of the metal under her fingertips, the heat of the sun on the crown of her head. Somewhere behind her, a public clock struck the half-hour. She listened to the pass-through. The radio on Officer Blake's shoulder crackled like a tiny storm. He turned slightly away from Amara, words clipped and short as he spoke into it. The crowd watched the way people watch a glass at the edge of a table, aware that one more careless touch could send it over. The city still moved. Buses sighed, doors opened, the coffee machine hissed. But the circle around the parked sedan stayed steady, an island of quiet eyes and careful breaths. Amara's palms rested on the trunk, the sun warming the metal under her hands. She stood straight, not stiff, the way a person stands when they choose their balance instead of letting the moment choose it for them. Inside her tote, the sea-blue notebook lay against the apples, the receipt folded like a small white flag. She could hear her own breathing, slow and even. She could also hear other breaths. The grandmother under the awning, the barista at the cart, the girl with the phone. Each one a small promise that she was not invisible. Officer Blake ended, his radio call with a sharp touch to the switch. He looked at the phones again, then at Amara. There was a new look in his eyes, a narrowness that tried to make the world smaller. "Keep your hands there," he said. "I am," Amara said in a low, steady tone. "I am cooperating." From near the lamppost, the college student with the camera stepped sideways to keep both faces in the frame. The violinist, his bow still, stood as if listening to a note only he could hear. The delivery driver adjusted his scooter's kickstand and cleared his throat. The mother held on to the red balloon string and her son's hand, as if both might float away. "Back up on the way," someone whispered. The words passed through the circle like a ripple. A door across the street opened, and the shop owner, a man with careful glasses, leaned out to say, "My camera points right here. It's recording." His voice wasn't loud, but it carried. Officer Blake's jaw worked. He showed the back of his hand to the crowd. "Step back," he said to no one and everyone. He moved closer to Amara, and the space felt tight again. "Officer," Amara said softly, eyes forward. "For the record, I've asked for the reason. I am not raising my voice. I'm not moving without your direction." He gave no answer, only made a small motion with his hand, as if rewinding the scene to his preferred frame. He reached for her wrists again. His touch was firm, more forceful than needed, and it made a small sound move through the crowd. The kind of sound people make when they watch a door close on someone's fingers in a film, even if no one is hurt. The barista took a breath as if to speak, then pressed her lips together. "Please be careful with my shoulder." Amara said, her voice even. You don't need to pull. I will place my hands behind me if you ask. He didn't wait for her to do it. The cuff clicked once around her left wrist, a small metallic punctuation in the warm air. She did not fight the sound. She let it be what it was. He reached for her right wrist, and she brought it back slowly on her own, the way someone extends a hand to shake, clear and visible. I am not resisting, she said again, clear enough for the phones and the person behind the phones. Stop talking, he said, though the words she used were calm and clean. Behind the circle, a city bus driver leaned forward in his seat to look through the windshield. The girl with curly hair, her name was Priya, though no one there knew it, kept filming. Her hands shook a little, so she anchored her elbows to her ribs and tried to keep the frame steady. On her screen, comments began scrolling from friends. Where is this? Are you okay? Stay safe. Film everything. The grandmother under the awning, a woman with silver hair and a paper bag of bread, glanced up at the shop camera and then at the officer. She spoke in a voice meant for this kind of day, low but steady. Young man, she said, please be gentle. She is not fighting you. Officer Blake did not turn his head, but a muscle in his cheek moved. The second cuff hovered near Amara's right wrist. Hands closer together, he said. Amara brought her wrists toward each other an inch at a time, keeping her shoulders relaxed. She had learned, years ago, that the body listens when the mind sets the tone. She counted her breaths. 1, 2, 3, in a rhythm that had nothing to do with fear and everything to do with choice. A siren sounded far off and then stopped. A second patrol car turned the corner and approached without noise, its lights off. The car slid into a space near the coffee cart. A younger officer stepped out, scanning the scene, the phones, the faces, the parked car, Amara's steady posture. He slowed, like a person walking onto a stage where the play had already started. Everything okay here, Blake? The younger officer asked, careful to keep his words plain. Under control, Blake said, not looking at him. The second cuff clicked shut with another small metallic sound. Amara flexed her fingers once to make sure the circulation stayed comfortable. She did not test the cuff. She did not twist. She stood there with her shoulders down and her chin level. The street smelled like coffee and warm pavement with a thin sharpness of bus exhaust under it. Officer, she said, please tell me, am I under arrest? You're being detained, Blake said. For what? She asked. The same steady question she had asked before. He stared at her as if the question itself were a problem. The younger officer, his name tag read Chang, shifted his weight, looking from Blake to Amara to the ring of phones. Ma'am, Officer Chang said, did the officer explain why he stopped you? No, he did not, Amara said. He asked for ID. I asked for a reason. I offered my receipt and my bag. I asked if I was being detained. He said yes, but he has not told me why. A murmur moved around the circle again. It wasn't loud. It was the soft sound of people agreeing with the truth of a sentence. Officer Blake's mouth pressed into a thin line. We had a call, he said. About what? Amara asked. A suspicious person, he said. What was the behavior? She asked, in the same clean tone. What did they say the person did? He opened his mouth and closed it again. You match a description. The shop owner adjusted his glasses. So do half the people on this block, he said. The barista lifted a paper cup as if it were a small flag and spoke up too. I can give a statement, she said. She bought water and stood here for a minute, then walked to the crosswalk. That's all? The younger officer looked at the girl with the phone. Are you live? He asked, quietly. No, Priya said, but I'm recording. Keep recording, someone else whispered. Amara kept her gaze soft and forward. Officer Blake, she said, I am requesting a supervisor. That sentence made a new space in the air. Simple words, but they had a shape to them, like a door opening to a better-lit room. Officer Chang nodded once, almost to himself. "Supervisor's on the way," he said, more to the crowd than to Blake. He touched his own radio and said a few words the phones couldn't catch. The mother with the red balloon looked down at her son. "We're learning about this," she whispered to him. "It matters how people speak and act." The boy, Ollie, nodded solemnly and squeezed her fingers. He would remember the quiet firmness in Amara's voice more than anything else. "Ma'am," Officer Chang said, moving a small step closer, careful, respectful. "Would you like some water?" Amara turned her head just enough for him to hear her. "Thank you," she said. "I'm okay for now." She did not want to move in any way that could be read the wrong way. She did not want another person's kindness to be used as a reason to tighten the moment. The violinist's bow lifted. He played a soft, steady note, a kind of musical breath. It did not mock the scene. It did not judge it. It simply added a human line through the air, something even an officer could not argue with. A reporter from a small local outlet jogged up, hair a little wild from the hurry. She wore a press badge and held a phone and a notepad. She did not shout questions. She looked, recorded, and wrote down the badge numbers she could see. She caught the shop's camera lens and made a small note about it, too. "Badge number!" a voice called from farther back. It wasn't angry. It was a prompt. The phones zoomed a little closer on the silver numbers pinned to dark cloth. The numbers were not secrets in daylight. Amara spoke again, just once, clear and steady. "I am not a threat," she said. "I am a citizen walking home with groceries. I am asking for clarity and respect." The sentence landed. Officer Blake, who had been holding himself like a man who could push the whole street, seemed to feel the weight of those words press back. His grip on her forearm shifted, less certainty, more edge. His face flushed, not from heat, but from the effort of staying on a path that now had many eyes on it. "Turn around," he said, even though she was already turned and steady. "Face the car." "She is facing the car," the grandmother said gently. Officer Chang cleared his throat. "Blake," he said in a careful voice meant for a narrow bridge, "Supervisor will be here any minute. Maybe we can—" "I've got it," Blake said. The words clipped. He checked the cuffs again, as if the small click of metal could be a kind of answer. It wasn't. It never is. He looked at the bag, at the receipt, at the blue cover of the notebook. He looked at the phones. He looked at Amara's posture, which did not shrink, did not challenge, did not tremble. It simply existed with dignity. "Sir," Amara said, choosing a word on purpose, "I will follow any lawful order. I am asking you once more to explain the reason. If there is no reason, I would like these cuffs removed." He said nothing. The sound of shoes on sidewalk announced new arrivals. 2 more officers appeared at the edge of the circle. One of them, older and saint. The lieutenant stood with his hands easy at his sides, but his eyes were sharp. The street felt quiet, like a classroom where everyone waits for the next word. Amara breathed in and breathed out, her shoulders still relaxed, her palms steady, on the car. She had asked simple things. She had stayed calm. The ring of people around them did not move. It was as if the city itself wanted a clear answer. "By the book, Blake," the lieutenant said again, in a calm voice that carried. "Explain the specific reason, or remove the cuffs." Officer Blake's mouth pressed into a hard line. He looked at the phones, then at the lieutenant, then at Amara. The silence asked a question he could not solve. His hand lifted to the cuffs, hovered there, and came down. The small key turned. The first cuff opened with a soft click. Then the second. It was a small sound, but it felt like a door sliding open. "Hands in front," he said. Amara brought her hands forward slowly. No. Sudden moves, every inch clean and visible. She did not rub her wrists. She simply placed her palms flat again on the trunk, the way a person might put both hands on a map to steady it in the wind. The crowd let out a thin breath together, not a cheer, just a gentle sound of relief. "Thank you," she said to the lieutenant. Her voice was steady, clear, and respectful. "Ma'am," the lieutenant replied, "if you're comfortable, you can step back from the car now." "I will stay here for a moment," Amara said softly. "I want to speak clearly, and I want everyone to hear me." The lieutenant nodded. "Go ahead." Amara lifted her chin just a little, enough for her voice to carry to the people with phones and the people without them. She did not turn. She knew the microphones on the street would do the work if she spoke plainly. "My name is Amara Cole," she said. "Staff Sergeant, United States Marine Corps, retired. I have identification in my wallet. It is in the right pocket of my jeans." The ring around the car tightened, not to close in, but to listen closer. The grandmother under the awning blinked. The barista's eyebrows climbed in a soft expression of surprise and respect. The violinist lowered his bow out of the frame, as if the single line of music had found its answer in words. Officer Chang glanced at the lieutenant. The lieutenant gave a small nod. "Officer Chang," he said, "if Ms. Cole consents, retrieve the ID slowly and show it to me." "I consent," Amara said. "Right pocket. I will not move." "Thank you," Chang said to her, keeping his voice low and careful. He moved with open hands, palms visible to the phones, and paused at her right side. "Ms. Cole, I'm going to reach for your wallet now." "You may," she said. He lifted it free and stepped back 2 paces so the act would not feel private, in a public moment. He opened the wallet like a librarian turns a thin page. A card slid forward, white with clear lettering and a small, crisp photo. He kept it in view as he handed it to the lieutenant. The lieutenant studied it, then looked at Amara's face and back to the card. There was no drama in the way he handled it. Just attention, the kind a careful person gives to a file in a room with good light. He nodded once, returned the card to Chang, and Chang put it back in Amara's wallet and returned the wallet to her pocket with the same steady care. "Thank you, Staff Sergeant Cole," the lieutenant said. A few people in the crowd breathed, out again. The girl with curly hair whispered to her friend, "She's a Marine." The mother with the red balloon looked at her son and saw his eyes shine with curiosity and respect. The shop owner adjusted his glasses and straightened his shoulders as if the street had grown taller. Amara did not change her posture. She did not make a speech. She kept her tone simple. "I served 12 years, she said. "I learned discipline, duty, and calm under pressure. I learned that clear words make hard moments easier. I also learned that power is not a toy and that respect is not weak. Respect is strong." She let those few lines sit in the air. No one clapped. No one shouted. The moment did not need extra weight. It carried itself. "Lieutenant," she said, "I would like to give my civilian ID as well. I would like to show my receipt and my bag. I said that before, I still mean it. I also want to say this. Many of us on this block match the same simple description that was given. Dark shirt, jeans, a bag. I do not believe that is enough for what happened. I kept my voice calm. I asked for a reason. I asked for a supervisor. Thank you for coming." The lieutenant nodded again. "Understood." He looked to Blake, and the look was not sharp, but it was firm. "We will proceed correctly." Officer Blake's face had gone still, the way a face does when a person tries to hide that they do not know what to do next. He picked up the receipt from the trunk and looked at it again, though it was the same short list as before. He glanced at the sea blue notebook, at the apples, at the clear bottle of water. He put the receipt down. "Ms. Cole," the lieutenant said, "if you're willing, please step to the side with Officer Chang and me so we can speak. We will stay in the open." "I am willing," Amara said. She moved one small step away from the car, slow and visible, and turned so she could see both the crowd and the officers at the same time. She placed the tote back on her shoulder. The blue cover showed for a moment and then settled against the apples again. "Do you need medical attention?" Chang asked quietly. It was not a trick question. It was exactly what it sounded like. Care. "I am okay," Amara said. "Thank you for asking." "Do you want to file a complaint?" the lieutenant asked. "I can give you the process right now." "I would like to complete this moment properly first," Amara said. "I will decide after." The lieutenant nodded, not pushing. "Fair." Amara spoke again, and now her voice gained a new shape. It did not get louder. It got cleaner, like a line cut with a sharp knife. The shape was leadership, the kind that does not announce itself. It just appears and makes space for the right thing to happen. "Officer Blake," she said, turning her head slightly so he could see her eyes. "I am going to speak to you with respect. You approached me without a greeting. You gave an order, not an explanation. When I asked a simple question, you raised your voice. You put cuffs on me without stating a specific reason. You asked the crowd to stop filming, but this is a public street. People can record. They should record. I waited. I asked for a supervisor, and I kept my voice low. Sir, this is not how trust is built." The words did not attack. They drew a map. They showed a route back to the main road. Blake's jaw worked again. He looked at the lieutenant, at Chang, at the phones. He swallowed. "I had a call," he said, but the words sounded small now, even to him. "I understand that you had a call," Amara said. "Calls are part of your job. Clear reasons are, too. So is dignity. When I trained younger Marines, we taught them a simple line. Calm is contagious. It moves from one person to another. Panic is contagious, too. So is anger. I chose calm here, even when I was afraid. You could choose it, too." Her eyes were not hard. They were steady. They said, "We are all human. Let's act like it." A man, near the back of the circle, lifted his chin. He had been quiet the whole time, a face in the crowd like any other. He spoke now, not to steal the moment, but to add a small stone to a path that was already being laid. "I saw everything," he said. "From the coffee cart to now. I can write a statement if needed." "Thank you," the lieutenant said. He did not ask the man to step forward. He did not ask anyone to move. He just let the offer sit where it belonged, in the air, available. A local news van eased onto the block, but it did not push in. The reporter with the small press badge stayed where she was, phone steady, not shouting questions. She simply bore witness. She wrote down the time, the names she had, and one line from Amara. "Calm is contagious." "Ms. Cole," the lieutenant said, "I will document that the cuffs were used and removed. I will also document that you requested a reason, requested a supervisor, and offered ID, a receipt, and a bag search in the open. I am sorry this happened. Would you like a business card with our internal review contact?" "Yes," Amara said. "Please also give one to the shop owner and to the barista. They have cameras pointed here." "Of course," he said. He took out 3 cards, wrote the incident number on each, and handed them to Chang. Chang delivered them like a careful messenger, one to the shop owner, one to the barista, and one to Amara. "Thank you," the barista said. Her voice shook a little, and then steadied. "I'll save the footage." The grandmother under the awning hugged her paper bag and nodded. "Good," she said to no one in particular. "Good." Amara adjusted the tote on her shoulder. "I would like to go home when we are done," she said. "I have a call to make to my niece. I promised to show her this notebook." She tapped the sea blue cover lightly. "You will be able to go," the lieutenant said. "We'll finish with clarity. Officer Blake?" Blake looked at the lieutenant. The stubborn line in his face had faded. He seemed smaller now. Not humiliated, just human. like a person who had walked down a hallway and realized he had taken the wrong door. I did not explain the reason, he said. The words were difficult, but they were honest. I should have. Thank you, the lieutenant said. He didn't add weight. He didn't score points. He let the admission be enough for the moment. Amara gave a single small nod. I appreciate that, she said. I don't carry anger as a hobby. I carry standards. I carry patience. I carry the training that kept me and the people beside me safe for many years. That training is with me on a street, too. I expect the same from those who serve here. A soft goo. Amara walked the last few blocks with the same measured steps she had used the whole time. The sun sat a little lower now, and the shade of trees reached across the sidewalk in long fingers. She passed a mural with bright birds and paused for half a breath to look at it. Her tote sat easy on her shoulder, the sea-blue notebook pressed softly against the apples. She could still hear the violin from 2 streets back, a slow melody that felt like a steady hand on a shoulder. She reached her building, nodded to the older neighbor in the lobby, and took the stairs. Inside her apartment, she washed her hands, set the fruit in a bowl, and placed the notebook on the table like a promise kept. She stood for a moment and listened, to the small hum of the fridge, to the quiet of her home, to the simple fact of being safe inside a door she could close. She took a deep breath and let it out. Calm went all the way down to her feet. Her phone buzzed on the counter. It buzzed again. She picked it up and saw a stream of messages from friends and from numbers she didn't know. A link appeared in 3 different threads. She tapped it. The video opened. The coffee cart, the crosswalk, the parked sedan, her steady posture, Officer Blake, the ring of phones. She did not watch to feel anger. She watched to check the facts, to make sure her memory and the recording told the same story. They did. Her sentences sounded clear. The request for a supervisor came through. The moment with the cuffs, the soft words from the grandmother, the card from the lieutenant, each part matched. The comments below the video were moving fast. Most were simple. I'm glad she's okay. Calm is contagious. Record, don't rush. Some were from people on the block. I was there. Shop camera has the angle too. The violin was the softest part of today. She set the phone down and called her niece. A cheerful face filled the screen. Auntie, did you get it? Amara smiled and the day softened. She held up the sea blue notebook to the camera, turned it to show the clean pages, and said, Ready for your drawings? Her niece clapped. I'm starting today. Good, Amara said. Draw a tree for me. Strong trunk, many branches, leaves that move in the wind and do not break. Okay, her niece said, not yet knowing that one day she would understand the deeper meaning. They talked for a few minutes about school, summer reading, and a tiny plant growing in a jar on the windowsill. When the call ended, the room felt brighter. Amara poured herself a glass of water, took small sips, and checked her messages again. The reporter with the small press badge had posted a short, careful thread, time of the incident, location, what could be seen in the video, and a note that a supervisor came, asked for a specific reason, and the cuffs were removed. No dramatic words, just the timeline. She appreciated that. Down the block, the barista wiped the counter and kept glancing at the shop camera monitor. She had never been part of a moment like that. She printed the lieutenant's card number on a sticky note and pressed it to the register. Save the footage, she told herself out loud. Save everything. She made 2 free coffees and carried them out to the grandmother and the shop owner as a small thank you for standing steady. Priya, the college student with curly hair, sat on a bench outside the library with her phone in her lap. Her hands still shook a little, so she took a minute to breathe. She trimmed the ends of her video so it started with the first clear command and ended with the cuffs coming off. She added simple captions. Public street. Recording is legal. She asked for a supervisor. Calm is contagious. Then she posted it and put the phone down, not to chase attention, but to give the moment a fair chance to travel. Inside the station, Officer Chang sat at a desk and typed an incident summary with careful lines, including the words Amara had said, her exact phrases. He kept the sentences short and true. He added the presence of the shop camera, the press, witness, and the names on the business cards the lieutenant had given out. He ended with, subject requested reason and supervisor, cuffs removed, no property damage, no injuries, public calm maintained. He read it twice and then sent it. In a small office down the hall, the lieutenant wrote his own memo. He did not try to shape the story into something it wasn't. He listed facts. He described the tone of the scene. He noted that community members observed, recorded, and gave space. He wrote one final line he had not used in a memo before. Calm leadership from the subject helped stabilize the encounter. Across town, Officer Blake sat at his kitchen table, the radio from earlier now quiet, the afternoon sun making a square on the floor. He watched the video once, then again. He saw the angle from Priya's phone, and he saw himself from the outside in a way he never had. The moment looked different from here than it had felt in his chest. He rubbed the bridge of his nose with 2 fingers and let the silence sit. He did not know yet what to do next. He only knew that a small, serious voice in him said, "Learn from this." By late afternoon, the story had reached farther than the block. A local radio host posted an invitation to Amara for a calm, in-studio conversation. Not a debate, not a fight, just a thoughtful talk about trust and clear words. The shop owner printed a small sign and taped it to his window. Witness, record. Give space, ask for a supervisor, share facts. He added a 5th line after a moment's thought. Speak with dignity. The cafe near the corner decided to host a simple community circle at 6 o'clock. No speeches, no shouting, just neighbors talking through the steps that had helped. The barista posted a note on their door and on their page. If you were there today, or if you care about good streets, join us. We will share what we saw and what we learned. When Amara arrived, the room held the soft buzz of voices and the smell of fresh bread. People sat on chairs pulled from everywhere. Mismatched stools, low benches, the step by the window. The violinist leaned his instrument against the wall and held a paper cup in both hands like it was a warm stone, the grandmother's silver. Hair shone in the indoor light. Priya sat near the end of the counter, phone upside down, notebook open. The shop owner stood with a pen behind his ear, ready to write shared ideas on a cardboard box top. The cafe manager, a calm woman in a denim shirt, lifted a hand for attention. "We're glad you're here," she said. "We're going to keep it simple. We'll list what helped today, so we can do it again if we must. If you weren't, this is still for you. Good habits spread." One by one, people spoke in short lines. Recording helped. Standing back helped. Asking for a supervisor helped. Body language mattered. No yelling kept the air clear. Saying exact sentences mattered. Priya wrote each point in simple words and held them up. The room nodded. Amara did not rush to the shoe front. She waited, listened, and when the manager looked her way, she stood where she was and spoke in the same tone she had used in daylight. "Thank you for seeing me," she said. "Thank you for seeing each other." She paused and let that land. "When I was serving, we had a small card we kept in our pockets. It listed 4 things to do first when a situation turned sharp. Slow your breathing, check your words, make the space safe, and ask clear questions. Those are good on a street, too. Today, the crowd did all 4 without a card." She lifted her hand a little and counted on her fingers. "Slow your breathing," she repeated, "so your body listens. Check your words so you do not add heat. Make the space safe. Do not crowd, do not push. Ask clear questions like, what is the reason, and can we call a supervisor? These steps are small, but small steps make long roads. The room stayed quiet. People were not waiting to clap. They were saving the words for later, like food wrapped in paper for a hungry hour. The violinist lifted his bow. I wrote something this afternoon, he said, shy but ready. I call it Daylight Note. He played a short, steady tune, smooth as a stream over flat stones. It was not sad. It was not bright. It was patient. When he finished, the room exhaled together and the manager said, "We're going to print these steps on cards, free for anyone. Keep one in your pocket." Outside, the red balloon from earlier bobbed at eye level in front of the window. The boy held it steady and pressed his nose to the glass to watch the grown-ups share quiet ideas. He could not hear every word, but he could see the faces. Soft, thoughtful, kind. Before she left, Amara stepped to the counter. "Thank you for holding space," she said to the manager. "Thank you for showing how," the manager replied. She slid a paper cup across the counter. "For the walk home." Amara took the cup and stepped back outside. The evening had arrived with a soft gold light. She walked past the shop with the new sign and paused to read it again. Witness, record, give space. Ask for a supervisor, share facts, speak with dignity. She took a photo and sent it to her niece with a caption, "Your tree will love this." Her phone buzzed again. The local radio host had sent a careful note. "We're airing a segment tomorrow on calm community response. You're welcome to join. If not, we will still share your 4 steps with your name." She replied, "Share the steps. I'll join if we keep it simple." The host answered with a smile emoji and a, "Yes, ma'am." Back at the station, the lieutenant met briefly with the training sergeant. "Let's add a block on clear. Reasons at the curb," he said. "Not just rules, practice, words to use, tone to hold." "Agreed," the training sergeant said. "And a section on public recording. No fear of cameras. Cameras remind us street when the cuffs oppa." The next morning arrived with clear light and a soft breeze. The kind of day that invites people to step outside without hurry. Amara woke early, made tea, and stood by her window while the kettle clicked and cooled. She kept her morning simple, on purpose. She wrote 3 lines on a small card and set it near her keys. Slow your breathing, check your words, ask clear questions. She read the lines once, then slipped the card into her pocket. It felt like a small anchor she could carry. At 10 o'clock, she walked to the local radio studio for the short conversation she had agreed to. The host met her at the door with a kind smile and careful eyes. "Thank you for coming," the host said. "We'll keep it simple and honest." Inside, the studio felt calm. Soft chairs, a round table, and microphones that waited rather than demanded. During the interview, Amara spoke in the same steady tone she had used on the sidewalk. She told the story as a timeline, not as a drama. She named her 4 steps. She thanked the neighbors for giving space and for recording. She thanked the lieutenant for showing up. She did not name anyone to shame them. She named actions that anyone could repeat. Across town, the training sergeant printed Amara's steps on a single sheet and placed it on the front row of chairs in the classroom. The lieutenant stood at the whiteboard and wrote 4 phrases in large letters. Clear reason at the curb. Public recording is allowed. Calm voice, steady pace. Supervisor on request. Officer Chang offered to role-play a short scene that matched the one on the street, but with the right words at the right time. They practiced it twice, once as a rough draft, once as a clean run. No one raised their voice. No one rushed. The difference was easy to hear. It sounded like trust. Officer Blake sat in the back of that room with a quiet face. He had requested to sit in even though the session had not required his presence. He took notes. He wrote down the exact phrases the lieutenant used, and he underlined the ones he had heard from Amara. "I am not resisting." "Please explain the reason." "I would like a supervisor." He felt a small weight in his chest, not a heavy stone, but a steady one that asked him to be better in small ways and in big ones. After class, he walked to the lieutenant's office and said, "Sir, I would like to apologize to Ms. Cole. I would like to do it in person, in a proper meeting, if she is open to it." The lieutenant did not push him. He simply nodded. "I will ask her," he said. He sent a simple message to Amara. "Officer requests restorative meeting. Safe setting, clear rules, your choice." Amara thought for a moment, then replied, "Yes, if we keep it respectful and on record. Community room at the cafe, 30 minutes. Present, you, Officer Chang, Officer Blake, me." The lieutenant agreed. The time was set for the following. Afternoon. News of the meeting did not travel far because no one posted about it. It was not a show. It was work. When they sat down at the long wooden table in the cafe's back room, the light came in soft through tall windows. The cafe manager placed water on the table and stepped back. Amara set her small card on the wood. The lieutenant reviewed the ground rules. "We speak in short, clear lines. We say what we did and how it affected others. We ask for what we can change. We respect time." Officer Blake cleared his throat. He did not look at the floor. He looked at Amara. "Ms. Cole," he said, "I am sorry for the way I handled the stop. I did not explain a specific reason. I used cuffs when I should have spoken first and listened more. I saw the video. I read the policy again. I sat in training. I am here to say it to you, face to face, without excuse." He let the words sit without trying to soften them. Amara listened without crossing her arms. "Thank you for saying that," she said. "I accept your apology. I want two things. First, that you practice the correct words until they are natural. Second, that you share what you learned with others, not with speeches, but with steady behavior on the street." Her voice stayed calm, but the lines were firm. "That will help more people than you can count." "I will do both," he said. "I have already asked to assist with training, and I will carry a card with the correct phrases until I no longer need it." He took a small index card from his pocket. On it, in clean handwriting, were 4 lines. Introduce, reason, request consent, offer supervisor. He placed the card on the table next to hers. The 2 cards looked like neighbors. Officer Chang spoke once. "Thank you both," he said. "This is how a city learns." The lieutenant nodded, then closed the meeting gently with one sentence. "We will document this and keep it simple." They stood, shook hands, and left without fanfare. It was a quiet hinge in a door that needed to move. After the meeting, the cafe manager copied the 2 small cards on a home printer and placed a stack near the register. "Take 1, the sign read. 1 side for public, 1 side for officers. Same street, same rules." People picked them up with careful fingers and slid them into pockets and wallets. A high school teacher took 10 for a civics class. A bus driver taped one near the fare box. The shop owner put one next to his security monitor like a label for the day. Priya's video continued to travel, but it traveled in a healthy way. People did not pass it around to argue. They shared it like a guide. Comments most liked were the short ones. Use clear words. Ask for a supervisor. Give space. The grandmother read the comments one evening and smiled at the simple kindness in the thread. She baked a small batch of lemon cookies and carried them to the cafe the next day with a note, "For a good tone." At home, Amara received a small package from her niece. Inside was the drawing of the tree they had talked about. The trunk was strong and straight, with roots that spread like kind fingers. The branches reached in many directions, and the leaves were small and lively. At the bottom, her niece had written in careful letters, "Calm is contagious." Amara stood there holding the drawing and felt the room grow softer. She framed the picture and hung it near her door, so she would see it every time she stepped out into the world. 2 weeks later, the city council invited the lieutenant and the training sergeant for a brief public update. The room was plain, rows of chairs, a clock, microphones on a long desk. The lieutenant spoke in clean sentences without fireworks. He explained the new training block, the clear phrases at the curb, the acceptance of public recording, and the practice of bringing a supervisor sooner. He did not mention names. He focused on habits. The council thanked him. A simple budget line for de-escalation practice passed without argument. The room did not cheer. It nodded. On a quiet afternoon not long after, a small moment on the same block showed how habits can change. An older man waved for help near the bus stop. He had misplaced his wallet and looked worried. An officer on patrol, Officer Blake, approached with a greeting first, then asked, "How can I help?" The tone was light and careful. A person nearby started to record, as people now naturally did. Blake didn't mind. He asked clear questions, retraced steps with the man, and found the wallet at the coffee cart. He returned it with a soft smile and a short note. "Check your pockets. Keep your breath slow." The person recording captured a good example, then put the phone down. The video still posted later, not to score points, but to share a model. Amara saw the clip that evening. She did not send a message or write a reply. She just nodded in her kitchen, like a teacher who sees a student apply a lesson in real life. She took her niece's drawing of the tree off the wall for a moment, dusted the frame, and hung it back up a little straighter. Then she placed her small card, the one with 4 steps, on the table beside a bowl of apples, because good reminders belong in the open, where anyone can see them. The violinist wrote a second short tune and played it on Saturdays. He called it Open Doors. People knew where the name came from without asking. The cafe kept a small basket of the 2-sided cards near the register. Sometimes the basket was full, sometimes it was almost empty. Either way, the manager kept printing more. The shop owner left the poster in his window. The words grew familiar as morning light. Witness, record, give space, ask for a supervisor, share facts, speak with dignity. 1 month after the first day, the cafe hosted another community circle. It wasn't a recap. It was a check-in. People shared small stories. A bus driver who used a gentle tone, a student who asked clear questions during a confusing moment at school, a neighbor who paused before speaking and changed a tough conversation at work. Each story was tiny, but together they sounded like steady rain on a dry garden. Growth did not shout. It simply showed up in green. Amara attended that circle too. She sat in the same place as before, near the window. When it was her turn, she shared only one thing. "There is a new habit on our street," she said. "We meet sharp moments with slow breaths and clear words. We still expect fairness. We still ask for reasons. But we have learned a tone that helps. Keep it. Teach it. Share it." She thanked the room and reclaimed her quiet. As the sun lowered that evening, she walked home past the mural with bright birds. The air was mild. The street held easy voices and the soft scrape of chairs on sidewalk. The city felt like itself, again, only a little stronger, a little kinder, a little more exact in the way it handled tension. At her door, she paused and looked back at the block where so much had changed in small, practical ways. Then she stepped inside, set down her keys, and took one more look at her niece's tree. The story, "See